Hello and welcome. We're here in the magical city of Nice, in the upmarket district of Montbauron, which overlooks and frankly dominates the beautiful port of Nice. Now, Montbauron is a quartier that has many splendid villas, but what we have for you today is something quite exquisite, a villa whose history is intrinsically linked with the history of the city of Nice itself. We're at Villa Beausite. Villa Beausite was built in 1870, around about the time you'd have found Queen Victoria and her court overwintering in Nice, strolling on the Promenade des Anglais and generally inventing the French Riviera. The English wealthy and landed classes flocked here to be seen and to be admired. And when they were here, they commissioned these fabulous properties as a way of showing off their newfound wealth. The first golden era of Villa Beausite had begun. It may be true to say that the early history of the French Riviera was heavily influenced by the English, but that all came to quite an abrupt end with the outbreak of the Second World War. And in 1948, Villa Beausite was purchased by a certain Gisèle Tissier. Gisèle was a collector, a musician, an artist, a couturier, and generally an all-round woman of her times. Her story would become inextricably linked with the story of Villa Beausite, and the second golden era had begun. Gisèle Tissier lived at Beausite for the rest of her life, a time that saw the world around her change beyond recognition. From those heady post-war days and her friendships with some of the best connected and most famous faces on the Riviera, to an ever-shifting world which saw the money run out and the voices and music fade, their echo just a distant memory along empty corridors. So Gisèle passed into old age, the villa aging with her, until finally, Beausite stood alone, defiant but empty, waiting for the new era to begin. A year before Gisèle Tissier's death, the English rock band The Cure asked permission to film a video for their latest hit single, Catch, at Villa Beausite. Whether it was the musical connection or coincidence, we don't really know. But that video still exists on YouTube. In fact, it was one of their best hits, and remains a remarkable document of the faded glory of Villa Beausite as that era came to its final close. You'll find these steps feature in the video, so I'm going to do my Robert Smith impression. Perhaps I'll spare you my singing voice on this occasion. The property is made up of 4 separately named villas, all interconnected. The main villa, Beausite, and 3 others, Lisbas, Hyacinth, and Les Rochers, originally designed as guest or staff accommodation, and all, of course, have that same stunning view. Nothing symbolises this Belle Epoque era of property better than these statues and this wonderful, frivolous tower. It serves absolutely no purpose, but it's absolutely divine. Just take a look at it. They don't build them like that anymore. As a real estate professional, you're not meant to fall in love with the property. But every time I come to Bow-Seat, I sort of drift into another world. There's so much history, there's so much character, so many beautiful things to look at. It's in a fabulous location, surrounded by all those beautiful properties, and the National Park of Montboron just behind you. And of course, those breathtaking views across the Baie des Anges to the Estoril Mountains beyond. Even though the condition of the building is challenging, there's so much beauty, from the original fireplaces to the hand-painted frescoes. And of course, nobody's tried a half-hearted attempt to restore it. Mercifully, the property escaped the 1970s more or less intact. And even in the worst rooms, there's always something lovely to look at. But wherever you go in the villa, you find yourself just staring out to sea. You simply never get bored. Of course, every important property has to have those special spaces, the principal rooms that form the heart and soul of the house, creating the ambience that makes the property. The main living area, kitchen, master bedroom, and family spaces. And Bow-Seat doesn't disappoint. Among its 25 plus rooms, the most impressive has to be the fabulous Salle de Musique, measuring over 70 metres squared with a beautiful 5-metre high ceiling and those superb colonnades and hand-painted frescoes. Both the main bedroom suite and the kitchen dining areas cover more than 55 metres squared. And the whole ensemble makes for fabulous accommodation, giving Bow-Seat the grandeur that puts it right up there with the most important properties on the French Riviera. But there's also humour and whimsy, like the guest house, Villa Lisba, styled as a replica Russian country cottage, its facade clad in those chunky faux beams, actually finished by hand. Well, passers-by and locals will probably be familiar with Villa Bow-Seat. It certainly stands out, even in a district full of amazing villas. And I suppose that's partly due to this wonderful faded elegance and this crumbling facade. But in actual fact, from this side, it's got a relatively low profile, because where it gets really interesting is from the other side. Well, from this angle, you get an idea of why it's such an incredibly important landmark for the city of Nice. It's a huge property, in fact. It runs from this wall here, right along the bottom at street level, to that far street light that you can see at ground level. and it goes from street level right the way up. Just take a look. Just want to point out a couple of tiny details. It's not often that you'll admire the air vents on a property, but just look at some of the beautiful detail that's gone into these little tiny features, like this one down here as well. And the cornices. Charming. Well, Villa Beau-Site is without question a property steeped in history. It has, after all, been classified as a monument historique. It's one of the most iconic and one of the most important properties in the whole of the city of Nice, possibly the French Riviera. But the history of Villa Beau-Site is only half the story, because plans have been drawn up and approved by the Architecte des Bâtiments de France and the Mairie of Nice to transform Beau-Site, to restore it to its former glory, and most importantly, to make it a property fit for modern living. And that is going to be something very impressive indeed. To find out more about these plans, we arranged to meet a man who knows more about Villa Beau-Site than anyone. Site manager Matt Clift. Hi Matt, how you doing?
How are you?
Nice to see you. Thanks for your time today. Shall we? These meticulously drawn up architect's plans begin to show the true scope of the potential of Beau-Site. And as you'd expect, not only do the plans stay faithful to the remarkable history of the property, but essentially they also create a luxurious and thoroughly modern living environment. The plans show a natural outdoor bathing pool perfectly integrated within its environment. There's an elevator linking the lower floors to the main living level. There's a garage with a turntable and parking for 4 cars. There's even an indoor spa area complete with gym and heated pool. And of course, it's all set within a perfect landscaped Mediterranean garden with its orangery, terraces and balconies, all perfectly integrating the past with the present day. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Dan Norris, my wife Sarah behind the camera. To find out more about the history of Villa Beau-Site and the details, and of course those vital plans, please click on the link beneath this video. You can follow us on Instagram, and you can follow Leggett Côte d'Azur team on Instagram as well by following the links displayed now on the screen. It just leaves me to say that without question Villa Beau-Site is a challenging project, but equally without question it's one of the most rewarding and exciting opportunities available today on the French Riviera. Perhaps it's time for you to begin your new golden era